Good morning, everybody. It's Chris Michaels, and I'm probably going to repeat a few things here and there because I know how this thing works. You get people that jump on at different times, and if you start early saying some things, the people later on won't catch it. So I may have to repeat myself a little bit here, and that's okay. Of course, you can always get the entire thing later, and I will be putting this up on my podcast channel at some point very soon, once this is done. So I'm actually dealing with something that is probably, for many people who started following me based on previous talks, they might think this is unusual. I do have one common word in here, well, two actually, supernatural and dreams. And so there's an anchor point for those who have been following me previously, but I'm dealing with something totally different today because it is something that I do focus on not as much as my primary topics, which are, as I've been saying, how things have been revealed to me in dreams and how I found out what my calling is that I didn't have any idea about my entire life. So that's kind of like a primary topic. Also, the advanced energy technology that I've been seeing in dreams for the last 8 years now. That's a big topic for mine. And when you're into that kind of a focus, things like what I'm going to tell today, there's only so many things you can focus on at once, and it gets to be kind of hard if you try to be a jack of all trades, because then you just, you spread yourself so thin that you end up not being effective at anything. Now, in my little talk today, I'm going to mention some people that I learned from and that are much bigger into this than I am. And so what I want to do today is I just want to tell what I've learned in my testimonies, things I've actually seen, which is in my title here. And so I'm calling this Supernatural Sunday Miracle Cafe Testimonies, what I've seen, and I'm talking about dreams. Now, the Miracle Cafe, that's an actual, a thing that someone did in England, and I'm going to get to that. I didn't make that up. It's not, I'm not trying to hijack the name of that. I'm just using it as an anchor point to discuss some things because it's part of my testimony of what I learned in the last, it's been 11 years now since I learned these kind of things. Just a quick recap for those who don't know me at all. I started off, Christian in churches that actually didn't believe in anything. They actually believed in nothing. And I didn't know that until 11 years ago. And I went through a very rough process of trying to figure out how did I not know that miracles still exist today? And they do. And I've seen them. But how did I spend 40 years in churches that nothing ever happened? That was pretty strange. And I went through a very rough process of getting out of like an intellectual trap, an intellectual prison, where I didn't know those things, and then coming over to believing that these actually exist and seeing them, actually seeing the results, and what that was like. So hopefully more people jump on because it's kind of a big topic, and so I might kill a little time here and there, but maybe not. Last time I talked an hour and 50 minutes, like 10 minutes short of 2 hours. I could not believe it. I was so surprised. But if you didn't catch that one, you can go back. That was the last talk that I did. And so anyway, I'll just get started. People can jump on when they do. So my primary focus, you may realize, as I've just been saying, is like dreams, marvels, which is a big topic right there. Marvels are supernatural abilities that are in the Bible, and we can have them now. Finding your life calling, the purpose you were put here for by God, and as revealed in dreams, which is a big, huge thing. I only got on this, where I am now, because of dreams, but I didn't have them most of my life. So that's a big key to everything I do. And so, I also, like I said, I focus on this big energy tech invention series of dreams that I've got. And so, so let's just get into this thing here. Healing versus miracle. There's a difference. I had to learn this. A healing is something that takes place over a process of time. It's not instant. And it can be the result of faith. It can be the result of natural remedies or things like that. I've actually seen certain things in dreams that I needed to take, and I didn't know what they were. I didn't know. Well, I knew I had to learn what they were. but I didn't know why I was seeing these things in dreams. Like, why am I seeing this? What am I supposed to do with this? And I finally learned. It took maybe a few weeks, or one case, I think it took up to 2 months before I found out what the heck the thing was, why I was seeing that in a dream. Or actually, I began to see other things, and did some research. And so anyway, I've been in the process of getting little healings here and there from certain things. But I'm just saying there's a healing versus a miracle. A miracle is when you see the thing happens right in front of you. And I've seen those. I've actually seen them in Christian services. Again, it's in the Bible. I had to find this out the hard way. All right. So that's the basic healing versus miracle, process versus instant. Something big here is if you hear about the testimonies of people who went through the same process I did, and I'm not going to mention names for everybody because there's just a lot of reasons. Some of them I will, some of them I won't, or I may mention them later on. But faith is a big deal. Faith is like mandatory when it comes to anything in the supernatural realm, because you're dealing with something that you can't quantify. It's like I talk about my supernatural science series. You can put the two together, but it's not that easy at first. And so, but supernatural basically is something that is most of the time not seen, or it begins in the realm of something you can't see. And to bring that from the realm that you can't see into the realm that you can see, from the spiritual realm to the natural realm, well, that takes faith. Most of the time takes faith. Sometimes it takes certain deliberate things you have to do. Well, usually it does, because if you don't do something in the natural realm, then whatever you have in the spiritual realm, or whatever you believe in, is just not going to happen. Now, a few years ago, after I had learned about healing miracles and that kind of thing, I started to try to practice them with different people. And I did more back then than I have recently, just to tell you the honest truth. Because when I first learned about this, I really wanted to do this. I wanted to see it. I was all really enthusiastic about this. And so there was a situation in another state. I won't say exactly where, somewhere down south. And I was talking to some people that were Baptists. They went to a Baptist church, and they said they believe in miracles. Yeah, but the problem is they never saw them. And what I learned is that if you don't see something, it's probably because you didn't go after it. And if you're not seeing miracles, it's because you're not going after it. You only do according to what you actually believe. In other words, if you say you believe in miracles, but you're not doing anything, especially biblically, to make them happen, your part, because you got to do your part and then God does his part. If you're not doing your part, then you're not going to see anything happen. I found that out. And that is why all the churches I went to, they didn't see anything, because they didn't do anything, and they actually didn't believe, was what the root of it was. They didn't believe, or they were too lazy to go after it and make it happen and find out. Because if you think you know everything, and you don't see certain things happen, what most people do is they come up with an intellectual, rationalized reason for, well, we're not seeing this because, and then they change their entire doctrine based on their unbelief, rather than if they would have just said, they got rid of their pride and went after it and said, okay, there's something we don't know. But if you have this attitude of pride that you know everything, and when things don't happen, you just change your whole belief system, that's totally false. You have to, you seriously need to find out. If you don't see something happen, you should say, okay, it says this in the Bible, so therefore it must happen. Why is it not happening? Why am I not seeing it? You have to do deliberate work. And some of these people are just, like I say, it's laziness, it's pride, it's all kinds of things. It's also the intellectual prison, because if you can't understand how to bring something that's invisible into the natural realm, well, that's the process I went through. And I'm here because I went through that process. And so I do see some people jumping on. By the way, I figured out something about this wisdom app thing. It took me, this is what, my 5th or 6th talk now. It finally figured it out. Okay, when you see a number of people on your little thing there, that little number, it shows how many people have at one time visited your talk. It doesn't mean they're still there. So that was a little bit, I figured that out afterwards, because I'm thinking, okay, how come I'm talking and there's nobody jumping on when I'm saying I'm finished, but I'm saying, okay, if anyone wants to jump on, come on. But no one is. And finally I realized, oh, duh, that's because it's showing you the total number of people that have been on there, not necessarily the people that are on there at that time. So there's a little practical wisdom regarding the Wisdom app. I don't know. I don't know that I want to know how many people are on, because part of this is also about archiving them. And if somebody does jump on, that's great. If not, this is archived. I put these all on my podcast channel. And so, but thank you for someone that clicked the like button there. I saw that, so thank you. All right, so now I'm going to try to get back on track, because I had to insert that. I felt like I needed to say that last time, that you got to figure out the system. There's a little bit of a game going on here, and it doesn't tell you up front what's going on necessarily, and that's okay. I'm not really too concerned about that. If you're talking and all of a sudden you see people jumping off, that's going to kind of demoralize you, so you may not continue. In the beginning, those things can happen, so I'm not sure that I mind one way or the other. But anyway, we're back on track. So let me get back to my story here. I'm going to jump back to the beginning of my 11-year process, where I started learning what I didn't know my whole life. And every now and then, because I had such a hard experience coming over and believing in this invisible, supernatural, miraculous realm that I now do, I had such a hard time with that I got mad. I really got mad. And why was I taught stuff against all this my whole life? What does it harm you to believe in miracles and to go after them and actually have faith? Why have a negative attitude? Why have an attitude of unbelief? The Bible talks about an evil heart of unbelief. And that was what kept the Israelites, out of the promised land in the wilderness. God literally let them die off. They got so angry with them because they had an evil heart of unbelief. So having unbelief is considered evil. And even Jesus talks about that when he talks that passage about if your eye is good or if your eye is evil. The one that the people practice other religions, they know that verse and they quote it. And they know it's talking about the pineal gland, which they call the third eye and this kind of thing. And that's how you see in the spiritual realm. And just because they know that doesn't mean the Christians shouldn't also know that. No, we should. And I learned that. So I can talk about the pineal gland. I can talk about why I had a certain health supplement show up in a dream and it had to do with the pineal gland. I can talk about all those things. We're supposed to know that. But anyway, I'm kind of getting off topic here. But, this is such a big, huge topic. I can jump around in this all day long. And I could almost spend another 2 hours on this like I did the last time on the supernatural science topic. But I have notes, and I'm going to try to follow these because there is kind of a story I want to tell and how I got to this point where I am now. And so let me just go right in. There was one of the first people I heard teach about this was a lady in England, the UK. And her name is Alice Cresswell. Again, I will mention some names and not mention others. And just for those reasons, but I won't say now. So Alice Cresswell, ALISS, you can spell her name and type it in. And she was the one that came up with what I have in my title, Miracle Cafe. She actually did this for a number of years. I think she started it back up again. And I think she still has. Well, actually, there's a website. You can go right now if you want to. Type in Miracle Cafe, and you'll see her website. And she still does this. She has, it's actually a cafe. And she has people come in. It looks like a regular cafe, except it says Miracle Cafe. So you know right from the name of the place that there's something unusual going on there. And literally, many people have gotten healed. And she started off as a young, very young woman. She believed in miracles, but she never saw them. And so she said she went for 12 years and she prayed for people to get healings, but she never saw anything. Finally, after 12 years, now this is crazy, 12 years, okay, there's a whole process of faith involved. Now, why it took that long, I have no idea. But other people, have taken them a long time also. So 12 years, as I remember her story. And finally, she started seeing miracles happen, like one day, and all of a sudden, wham. And so from that day on, she basically started seeing a lot of people getting healed. I think it's partly had to do with you have to learn. There is a certain way to do this. We're not supposed to just pray that someone gets healed. We're supposed to speak to a condition and command it to change. Because you know how in the Bible it talks about we're made in the image and likeness of God. Well, the likeness of him, what do we know about him in Genesis chapter 1? Well, he spoke and things came into existence. So, we don't do what he did on his level, on that scale, but we do it on a much smaller scale, and that's how we're supposed to be. So we speak things, and you speak based on your faith. If you have negative attitudes in that, then you will speak negativity, and that's what's going to happen around you. Believe me, I have family members that have done this and that's the results they have. So if you hear people speaking negativity and they have negative results, things going on badly around them, that's proof. In a roundabout way, that is proof that everything I'm saying here, I'm going to say, is an absolute fact of reality. And so you have all these people in churches that speak against this kind of thing, and well, they're speaking what they are manifesting in the natural realm, nothing, the lack of all this. So if you start speaking things and commanding things to line up the way you want them, you're going to eventually start seeing it happen. And just because you don't see it at first, that doesn't mean anything. Just because you don't see something in the beginning does not mean it isn't real, it isn't going to happen. Sometimes, again, this lady in the UK, it took her 12 years before she saw a healing miracle, and she's been seeing them ever since, and that was a long time ago. I don't know, I think she's in her 50s now. You can just go on her website, Miracle Cafe, I don't know if it's .com or something, and you can see Alice Cresswell, her husband there. I think they're in their 50s, I don't know. She has a daughter that's 20-some, upper 20s. And so just give you an age factor and a timeline idea there. She's been doing this a long time. So people would come into her cafe, and she would do this kind of a prayer, and people would get healed, and always in the name of Jesus. Very clear about that. We do things as Christians in the name of Jesus. There's other people that practice other stuff. I'm just telling you, where I'm coming from and trying to give you the basis, just a little part of my testimony here. So, but also they did other things too. People would come in and get prophetic words or words of knowledge, which is about this lady would get information from God about a person that there's no way she would know that. God told her. And so she would tell the person, they'd be very surprised, like, how did you know that? Well, it's called a word of knowledge. It's in the Bible, in the New Testament. And to be honest, I think it's 1 Corinthians 13, but I can't remember if it's first. I think it's first, not second. Anyway, you can look it up. Words of knowledge. Just type in words of knowledge in a Bible app or online. You'll see exactly where it is. And there's also prophetic words and that kind of thing, and gifts of healing, all those kind of things. And so people would experience those things when they came into her shop. And a lot of people got healed. And there's testimonies. You can hear all her stories about how people had come in with a broken arm or something and they got healed, or an ankle problem, or they had glass inside their hand, or they had glass inside their foot. Some of them were some of them, they had these things because they broke into people's houses. They were into crime, and they got all kinds of injuries and things, and glass stuck in their hand and foot. And so they came into her shop and they got healed. God heals people regardless of what evil thing they might have done. He'll still do it, and that's because he's good, and he's trying to show people he's good. And if they see that, then they'll actually follow him instead of all this other stuff. But here's one of the big reasons. That's a good jumping off point, a rabbit trail for a second here. That's a really good reason why miracles are very, very much needed right now, because you go to a lot of churches, it's a bunch of words, it's a bunch of stuff, rituals. It's what I call dead religion. There's nothing going on there. There's no manifestation of anything. And you go in there and you hear a bunch of people talk about all this, that, and the other thing. And in the end, because I did 40 years of churches, I would go in and come out the same. I came out the same person that I went in. Nothing changed. And for years and years, I did not change at all. It wasn't until what started happening 11 years ago, I made such rapid changes you would not believe, especially when I got the baptism of the Holy Spirit. We'll talk about that maybe if I get to it later. I changed so fast. I was like a new person every 2 months. It was astonishing. I mean, that's a miracle right there, because that had never happened before. And that is proof that the baptism of the Holy Spirit is real. If you don't have that, you are sorely lacking. But it doesn't end there. There's a lot more to go beyond just that. And that's a different topic. It's huge. I won't get into that today. But anyway, back to the lady in England. I listened to her stories, and I was so amazed. It was so inspiring to me, because I finally here's someone that's teaching me, that's showing by their example, and they have results. They even had witness testimonies of people that came in. She has books. You can read her books about all the things that happened in her Miracle Cafe when she first started it up. And I think she started it, and then she had to switch to something else. She shut it down, or maybe she moved it. I think she moved it to a different location. That's why it was on and then off for a short time, and now it's back up again. I think it's in Bangor, and it's in the UK. Anyway, I don't know which part that is. But anyway, so she still has that running, and you should read her books or watch her on video and watch the testimonies. And so that was how I started. But also, even before that, there was a girl in Peru. And I say a girl, I don't mean a kid. I mean like a young woman, like mid-20s or something. And I just got connected with her online. And so she started telling me all these kinds of things. I had never heard anything like this in my life at that time. So this was before the Alice Cresswell that I found out about her. And so this girl in Peru started telling me these things and what she had seen. I was so shocked. I had never heard that in person from anyone. Now, she was in Peru and I was here in the US. You know what I'm saying? It was chat online. But I even talked with her like through whatever it was, some audio chat messaging kind of thing. I forgot. It's been a long time. It's been like back 11 years ago. So she started telling me these things. And I was so shocked. I mean, I was just like speechless. I'm like, what the heck? I have never heard this in my life. And here's someone, I know she's legitimate. I know she's telling me the truth. You can tell when someone's sincere. And what she was telling me was very sincere, and I knew it. And that was part of my development process of understanding that this is real and believing in it. And so then I just had this, it started a war inside of me because I knew I had to have this. I had to see it. I had to, just these things had to happen for me, especially to make up for the 40 years when it wasn't. And so, okay. So anyway, now I could jump to some things that I've seen, but I'm kind of jumping around here. Here's something. Okay, here's another person I'm going to mention, because here's another person you can look up. There is a guy who used to be literally a paramedic in the back of an ambulance. And he had a very similar story to me, but coming from a different starting point. He was a paramedic, and he started having dreams. Well, he got converted because he read a book, what's it called? The Left Behind series. He read a book. It was a long time ago. He's a little bit older than me now. But anyway, he started off as an atheist for 38 years of his life. And he, by his own admission, he said he became very arrogant and very hard to deal with. And he was just not a good person to be around. And he was always arguing with people, and he caused himself a lot of problems back then. And then he finally decided, he kind of rejected it at first, but some guy said, hey, you should read this Left Behind book. So he read it, and he suddenly realized everything that was wrong with him. And God used that book to convert him to be a Christian. So what happened was he then he somehow became connected with people that were into the supernatural, miracles and all that. And so he was still a paramedic for a long time. And he started having dreams. And God would literally mentor him, teach him things in dreams, I suppose because he didn't have enough connections, people in person or to follow that could teach him these things, but God just taught him in dreams how to get people healed. So he tried it. And he said for a long time, at first, nothing happened because he was doing the wrong kind of a prayer. Now, remember what I said a short time ago, that you're not praying that God will heal. Well, sometimes you do pray. Sometimes you just speak and command a situation to change. It's the authority that we have as a Christian believer to speak to a situation. It's actually a kingdom authority. There are 3 different types of power, and that could be a long topic right there. If maybe I'll get back to that. But you can look this up if you do a concordance study in the Bible, and just look up the word power and find out which words are behind it. What is the original language in the New Testament in the Greek? You'll find there are 3 different words. One is dunamis, and that's what the only thing most people have any clue about is dunamis. They all talk dunamis. That's from the Holy Spirit. Yeah. Well, what about the other 2? Because there's 2 other persons. There's Jesus. He gives you exousia, which is governmental kingdom power, authority. And then there's kratos from God the Father, which is literally creative power. That's how you cause things to happen. That's a much higher level of power. And that's how you cause things to happen. Like things that appear that don't appear at all. And that's a different topic. We can actually do that to a certain limited ability, but you have to work at that to get to that point. God doesn't just give that stuff to people. So anyway, that's a different topic. Like I say, it's so big, I don't want to get into it now. I'll get way off track. I'm talking about Praying Medic. Praying Medic, that's his name. I forgot to mention that. Praying Medic, he's the guy who was a paramedic in an ambulance, and God started showing him in dreams. And at first, he didn't see anything happen because he was using the wrong kind of prayer. His prayers were passive. He was not commanding a situation to change. He was just asking God to do it and didn't realize, like most people when they start, they don't realize it's not passive. You have to be active. You have to go after this. You have to speak authoritatively. And if you don't do that, then nothing's going to happen. And really what that means is if you have to cross over to that realm in your faith. If you don't have faith for this, then you're being passive. You're asking God to do something that he expects you to do. Remember, Jesus sent his disciples out 2 by 2, and they got results. And they didn't have the Holy Spirit because he had all of the Holy Spirit himself. So what they had the kingdom exousia power, the authority, the kingdom authority, which you can use that to get people healed, not just the dunamis from the Holy Spirit. Okay, so there's a very big distinction. Remember I said a couple talks ago that distinctions are mandatory. The more distinctions you understand, the greater the evidence is of your maturity. If you don't have the knowledge of distinctions, then you have a very immature state and you really don't understand much of anything what's going on. It's like a spiritual baby. So, we're all supposed to progress. And so what happened in the beginning? And the first thing we hear about God, he makes distinctions. Let there be light. And he separated from the darkness. So the distinctions all over the Bible, and that is a mark of maturity when you properly understand these. So anyway, okay, back to praying medic, the guy who was a paramedic in an ambulance. And so he finally learned that he was doing it wrong. When he did it right, he started seeing all kinds of people get healed. By the way, you can go on his website, prayingmedic.com, go look for his books, and you can hear his own testimony of everything I'm saying right now, plus all the examples, because I read his books. All the times when people got healed in his ambulance, the stories he tells, and what happened to them. And he also learned about emotional healing, because sometimes your healing requires an emotional healing, which I am going to give my own testimonies also, by the way. That's coming up as part of my list. I'm giving my own testimonies of what I have experienced myself. And sometimes you need emotional healing in order to get healed from certain conditions. And so he has a very short, simple book on that, but he has a lot of other ones on different kinds of topics, especially about his experiences as a paramedic, praying that people got healed, or commanding healing and that kind of thing. We say praying because it's a simple way to say it. You're really not praying, because that's almost like you're asking God to do something. You're not. You're commanding a thing to be changed. You're commanding a healing to happen. Just like when Jesus said, stand up and be healed, we do that kind of thing too. And so anyway, there's times, okay, so in the beginning he got no results, and then he did start getting results when he changed his prayer, when he learned what he was doing wrong and started doing it the right way. He started getting results. Okay, prayingmedic.com. I strongly recommend you go check that out and see what he has to say, so you're not just hearing this from me. He has a very, very large following. This is something he focuses on extensively, and he's got tons of people. You can go on his social media accounts, and you can see he's always posting testimonies of people that get healed because of things they learned from him. And so I strongly recommend you check that out. Okay, so and I am part of a global ministry that has a lot of healing miracles also. So I've learned a lot of stuff from other people as well. I'm just giving a couple examples here. Okay, so what have I seen? When I went to a conference, a 4-day conference, when I was in Virginia, at a church there in Virginia Beach, and some people from well-known ministries that had healing miracles, lots of them, they came and did a whole big long 4-day event, and I went to the whole thing. And when I came out of there, I'm like, okay, I got to see stuff happen. So I was talking with a friend. I met with a friend that like a former coworker had just come down. I mean, someone I had worked with, but not currently at the time. And she came down, and I was so insecure about this, and so timid, and and especially because now I was transitioning into a totally different kind of faith and belief that I didn't have when I had known some of these friends. And so all of a sudden I'm changing in midstream, and I'm trying to figure out, how do I bring this up? And I was very insecure about all of it. So anyway, I'm walking with her in Williamsburg, Virginia, and walking with her dog. And I don't remember how I maybe I told her about this thing or something. She's of a different belief. She's Mormon. And so what happened was, we're walking around with the dog, and she said something about her thumb. She injured her thumb playing volleyball. Like, it couldn't bend. It was like, if you injure something and it gets swelled up in your finger and it won't bend and that kind of thing. So I said, hold your hand up. And I grabbed onto her thumb, like not real hard. And I said, in Jesus' name, be healed. And I said, okay, check it out. Because that's what you learn. You're supposed to check it out. Tell someone when you do that, you're supposed to tell them, check it out. I want to see what are the results. Because you're expecting results. You're not doing this just to, a passive thing and like, oh, well, I hope something happens like next year. No, you're expecting something to happen right there. And so you tell them, check it out. And so I told her, okay, now do something, check it out. What's happening? And she bent her thumb and she was like, she had this expression. She was like shocked. She's just like, what just happened? She could bend her thumb and she was just staring at it like, what the heck just happened? And I said, well, is that different from before? She said, yeah, I couldn't do this. So literally now I found out later it was a partial healing. I sent her a text the next day. I said, what's happening with your thumb? And she said, it's still a little bit sore, but it was definitely, she told me that definitely it was healed. She said, didn't you see me all the rest of the day, like walking your dog, like using that hand with the leash? She said, didn't you see me all day? It was fine. I mean, a little bit sore, but it wasn't swollen up and like it wouldn't move like before I did that. So that was the first time I actually saw with my own eyes that I spoke to a condition in Jesus' name and commanded it to be healed, and it was healed. And so that was a thumb. Now, minor little thing, but tell you what, that was big for me because it was the first time I saw it happen myself. Okay, so I'm going to jump to another testimony of a friend. It's not chronological in my story, but I'm going to come back to that here. I saw something else happen one time. This was a couple of years later, I think, not much more than that. One of my friends, I was texting. Now, this is okay. In the Bible, it says, lay hands on the sick and they will be healed. So that's what I did. I literally grabbed her thumb, not hard because it was injured. And I said, be healed in Jesus' name. And it immediately started getting healed right there on the spot. Now, this is another thing. This is a different kind of testimony. This was a friend in Oklahoma, and I'm here in New York. He was texting me. He told me he had something, I don't know if it was an injury or something was wrong with his arm, shoulder, something like that. And I started sending text messages, and I commanded the arm and the pain to go in the arm for it to be healed. And I had to do it like about 4 or 5 times. And he said, first of all, the pain moved. I think it moved from, like, let's say the upper arm down to the lower arm, and then it left. And I just kept sending text messages commanding it to be healed. And it was. And I think he had that, it might have been for 2 weeks, that pain in the arm for maybe 2 weeks. He went to a doctor and everything, and nothing. It wasn't getting any better. By text messages only. I didn't talk to him on the phone. No voice messages, nothing. I sent text messages, and his arm was healed after about 4 or 5 messages. Healed instantly. And he told me that, and I knew he was telling the truth, because if you're there, I mean, I know him. I've known him for a long time. And he... Anyway, it's just, and he was ahead of me in this. He knew this stuff before I did. And at the time I knew him, way back when we were kids, neither of us knew this kind of thing at all. But he figured it out a lot earlier than I did. So anyway, so that was the second time I saw someone get healed. But there were other times too. I'm just kind of giving a few examples here because I want to. This is you faith comes by hearing, and we hear testimonies of other people, and it helps to build up what we're currently trying to do. It helps to spread the message. And it also, for those who might be listening to this either now or later, I'm planting a seed that eventually is going to turn into something. And I do expect, by the way, that people will, first of all, it's going to cause a transformation. Secondly, I do expect at some point someone's going to get healed. I keep doing this, whether it's, you can get healed off a recorded message. People get healed off of recorded miracle services with different ministries. That's common. There is no, we are stuck in time. God is not. The spiritual realm is not stuck in time. We are. So you could hear, and I'm going to get to my testimony because I got healed from a video recorded TV program I watched on YouTube, and I got healed from watching that program, and it was probably recorded a year before I watched it. So I'm going to get to that. Those are 2 other things I want to get to. My own personal miracle healings that happened to me because of this kind of thing I'm explaining. So, okay. I'm looking through my notes because I want to make sure I kind of stay on track here without jumping around too much. I talked about the girl with the thumb that got healed, my friend who had an arm problem that got healed because I sent text messages commanding it to be healed and for the pain to leave in Jesus' name. Just like the Bible says, anyway. Okay, so I'm looking down my notes here. Okay, I've had dreams about doing this kind of thing out in public. Now, I haven't seen too much of this out in public because I haven't done it as much in public. There were a few times I did do this kind of thing in public, but not very much. And but it's just because I don't focus on it as much as I would like to. And I don't only have the opportunities right now either. So we'll get to that later. Okay, but I have had dreams about this in public. And so I know that this is something that I need to focus on. Actually, I've had quite a few dreams about this kind of thing. It's just not as much as my primary topics. Like I say, the supernatural science, the energy tech dreams, the whole big life calling, that kind of stuff. That's more of, my primary thing. And this is a little bit beneath that, but I'm using this also to try to get back into this. And maybe this platform here will be a good way to see more things happen. Okay, so next here. Okay, I'll just tell you about the 2 miracle healings I got. Now, this is, I'll mention another name of someone, a lady named Joan Hunter. Her parents were known as the Happy Hunters. They had a healing ministry. Now, Joan Hunter, she picked up from her parents, and she's, 60s or something like that now. So she's been in healing ministry a very long time. And I found out about her also through a TV program that I saw on YouTube. And what had happened with me now, I'll tell you my own little story. I had severe teeth grinding at night. Severe. I mean, it's so bad that my mouth actually hurt. And it got worse over time. It didn't get better. It got worse. Sometimes I would wake up, my mouth hurt so much. One day I knew I was going to have to get one of those athletic mouth guards, just put it in my mouth and sleep with that thing at night because it was so bad. I had such horrible teeth grinding, and I had to do something because I was really getting afraid that I was going to start damaging my teeth, which ultimately I did have minor damage for my teeth, in my teeth because of all the teeth grinding. It did actually happen. I actually do need a teeth miracle, a couple of them, because they actually got chipped. In one case, broken a little bit here and there because of this severe teeth grinding for many years that just kept getting worse. So what happened was I was watching this interview with Joan Hunter, and you can look her up also. I don't remember her website name, but just look up Joan Hunter and just go straight to her website or a video interview. And she did a prayer for the healing of the heart. Okay, like healing of the heart. And that doesn't mean like the biological heart, the organ, no, like the spiritual sense, healing of the heart, like it's an emotional healing kind of thing. And I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know that, I didn't realize emotional healing was a big part of you getting physically healed in some cases. I didn't know that. And so she did a prayer for healing of the heart on this interview. And I followed along word for word. I did exactly what she said to do. So what happened was after the first week, I started to realize my mouth isn't sore when I wake up in the morning. I'm thinking, okay, something happened. And this is the first time I ever experienced anything. It was the first time I experienced a miracle myself. So the first week, I'm thinking, okay, something changed. And so the first week, after the first week, I took the mouth guard out because this is all new to me. Experiencing this myself is all new. So I'm like, I got to check this out. So the second week, I slept without the mouth guard. No soreness, no nothing. And I'm thinking, you know what? I am totally healed of this. I'm no longer grinding my teeth at night because of a simple prayer. It was very simple, of healing of the heart, and like an emotional healing. And so the second week I slept without the mouth guard. The third week I threw the mouth guard in the trash, and I have never had to use it again. And that was about 7 to 8 years ago that happened. And I've been fine ever since. Now, there's still damage a little damage here and there in my teeth. I'm still waiting for a reconstructive type miracle for my, a couple teeth to be restored back to normal again. And I know it's possible. And so it's just a matter of time. Sometimes, here's the thing. Healing miracles, you can't always put a timeline on them. And I got to jump back to the faith part. Like the two people I mentioned, that at first they didn't see any healing miracles at all, even though they believed in them, and they came to the point where they understood, okay, these things are real and I'm going to have it. They didn't see anything at first, but there is a process of developing faith. It's a spiritual battle. I don't know how else to explain it, because sometimes, like these people in the beginning, nothing happens, but they're still going at it. Like I said in the beginning of this talk, just because you don't see something doesn't mean something isn't true. It just means there's something going on that we don't know about. So we have to get past our pride and say, okay, just because I don't see something doesn't mean it isn't true. It just means I'm going to keep going after it until I see it. That's how I got this whole big energy tech stuff in my dreams, is because I knew there was something missing from my life and I wasn't going to stop until I got the answer. And there's a whole big part of my story that I still haven't told yet about that. I'm going to. I've just been trying to get slowly into this whole new audience and see how this thing works. And so there's certain parts of my testimony I'm saving for a later time, but I had to break through in this area as well, just in a different sense than with the healing miracles. Okay. So anyway, but there is a faith battle. And so anyway, so that was the first, my teeth grinding when I got healed of that, like I said, 7 to 8 years ago. That was the first time. Now, the second time was actually within a year after that, I think, because I went to see this lady. I was in Virginia, and she came to a place in Tennessee where I was following a different kind of preacher, but they were in the same place, almost the same city at the same time. And I was like, okay, I got to go see them both at the same time while they're there. So it was a long drive, like 10-hour drive to get there from where I was in the eastern part of Virginia to the eastern part of Tennessee. And so I went there and I saw Joan Hunter, and I talked with her staff after her little service, and I said, what's up with food allergies? I had severe food allergies. They kept getting worse and worse and worse. And just like the teeth grinding kept getting worse, the food allergies kept getting worse. I probably had 20 things that I could not eat because it caused my skin to break out so bad. And what it did was it caused what's known as cystic acne. Okay, when you're a teenager and you have acne, you have bad skin, your skin breaks out, there's usually a root cause of that. And I don't have all the answers for that, but sometimes it's the food that we eat is such garbage, and it comes out of your skin because the body is trying to get rid of the toxins, and it comes out of the skin. But for me, I was having food allergies. It didn't make any sense. It was all different stuff, and I kept having more and more and more really bad food allergies. And so I talked to this a lady on Joan Hunter's staff there in Tennessee when I went to see them, and she told me food allergies are many times the root cause is unforgiveness. And I was like, whoa, I have never heard this before. Unforgiveness, that's crazy. Unforgiveness. So what happened was I had Joan Hunter's book. I forgot what it's called, Healing the Whole Man or something like that. And she has a whole bunch of prayers for all these kind of things in there. And so I went through her, the section in her book about forgiving people. It was a prayer to forgive people. So I literally, what I did, when I got back to Virginia where I was living, I got to that book, I went to that book, and I went to the section, I think in the back or whatever, and I read that prayer out loud probably 20 times. And every time I thought of all the people who did something to me at any time that I can remember in my life that I may have taken an offense to, or I didn't forgive them because I didn't realize how important it was most of my life. And I put their name in that prayer, and I said that prayer 20 times, about 20 different people that had come up, all different people, coworkers, whoever, people that I had known in college years ago or whatever. And so I went through that, 20 different people or so that I prayed to forgive them. Okay, so here's what happened. Again, you got to check it out. When you are doing some kind of a healing miracle type prayer, you want to see results. I am so big on results. You'll hear this again in other places. Very big on results. So I said, okay, I'm going to check this out. So just one food was causing me serious problems. Ginger. I could not eat ginger, whether it was powdered ginger or those ginger candies or anything with ginger in it. I could not. It made my skin break out, like I'm saying, with this kind of cystic acne. Immediately, like the next day, my skin would break out. It was very bad. Some of it was so like these big, huge. It was like something big, huge thing under my skin. It turned red. It wouldn't come out. It was just horrible. It hurt. It really hurt a lot. It would come out all over everywhere, not just face, no, everywhere it came out. It was so bad. It was horrible. And so that was the result of food allergies. And so I did this prayer to, like I say, 20 times to forgive people that had ever done anything wrong to me. And the next day, after I finished that, I ate ginger. I just happened to have something there. I don't know. I think it was ginger candy. And if I had ever eaten that in the past, my skin immediately, by the next day, would have broken out immediately. So what happened? I tested it out. As soon as I finished this, I said, okay, I'm going to find out. I ate this one piece of ginger candy that I had, and I watched to see what would happen. Next day, nothing. My skin didn't break out. So I said, okay, I'm going to eat more. Same thing, nothing. I was completely healed of those food allergies because I did that prayer for forgiving people that had done anything wrong to me at any time in my life before that. That was the second time I had an instant healing miracle in my life because of Christian teaching from the Bible. Okay, so that was 2 experiences. Those are my own 2 experiences. Now, those are miracles. Now, there's other things I need healing from that I'm still in the process of trying to get some things to happen. And I haven't seen everything yet, but I've seen those too, and it's a matter of time before the other things happen. Now, sometimes I've learned that sometimes God heals you when you do this kind of thing for others. Because, we're not supposed to be all about ourselves, give and it will be given back to you, that kind of thing. And so because I haven't gone out and looked for the opportunities because I haven't focused on it as much as all my other topics. Maybe that's a reason why I haven't had it in certain, experienced more miracles myself or healings. I don't know. I'm just saying we don't know the reasons. I try not to get stuck in my head about, all that kind of thing. So, all right. So what else is here? Looking down my notes to make sure I get all the main points. And by the way, like I say, I do expect faith comes by hearing, and sometimes when you hear testimonies of other people, you start getting miracles yourself. And I do expect the more I do this kind of thing is going to start happening. Now I've already asked God to give me words of knowledge about people that come on here or dreams. A lot of times I get dreams, and I'll tell you, before I started doing this, I had a series of dreams about the Wisdom app. And I didn't know what the dreams were about because it's all symbolic, but I found out a few days later that those dreams were about me getting on this thing. And it showed me what to expect when I came on here. It showed me the spiritual conditions of what was going to be on here. And I have the dreams written up. I'm going to post them on my blog, but I'm waiting. I want to make sure. I want to wait and see how this thing goes because some of it, quite honestly, was very negative. The stuff I saw in my dreams about the environment here. And so I'm kind of waiting to see that play out because I don't want to come out with that kind of I want to have a more positive angle on the whole thing. And so also I don't want anyone who's connected with me to think I just, I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying what the dreams told me. And if you're in the prophetic kind of thing like I am, then sometimes you just have to tell it, but find the way to say it that doesn't sound like you're hitting someone over the head. So I'm kind of waiting on that one, but I do have a series of dreams about this. I have also had dreams specifically about certain people I have or will connect with on this platform. I've already had those dreams. And I'm going to have more because I just know when people email me through my website, chrismichaels.com, I have dreams about people in advance that are going to come and connect with me or after the fact. And it tells me stuff about them. So, I get tons of stuff. There's a difference between a prophet and a dreamer in the Bible. I am a dreamer. I do have a calling as a prophet, but that hasn't been made public yet because I'm still in the development process. I have a whole series of dreams about that. I don't say much about that because some people get so caught up on titles. And I focus more on the dream aspect. And so I kind of made up my mind. I'm not going to say much about this until it's more like publicly validated in the future. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Anyway, because when you start saying that stuff in a mixed audience like this, they don't have the background to know what you're talking about, even though there are lots of modern day prophets, and I can mention them. Kim Clement is one of them that I was following. I mean, he died a few years ago, unfortunately. But anyway, just to say that I was supposed to share this thing out. Darn, I was supposed to share this thing. I'm going to do this now while I'm talking. Just to say that, all right, now that I'm sharing, I'm getting distracted. So I got to look at my notes here to make sure I'm back on track. But anyway, so I have that kind of a calling, but it's not public yet. All right, so anyway, I definitely got myself sidetracked on that by sharing this thing. So I'm just going to quit and get back on track here. All right. Anyway, okay, so I'm expecting, I was talking about dreams, and I have dreams about people that I will connect with here. Of course, they don't know that. And they don't, now some of them, because they're all symbolic, it's not like I see the person literally. What I usually see is there's someone either I remember from the past that is very similar to someone that I'm connected with now. And I got to figure out, okay, who is this? Then I'm watching and seeing, okay, I think it's this person, but I want to make sure, and I don't want to come out and say anything, because sometimes you don't want to say what you saw in the dream. You want to say what the solution is. Also, because some people that are new to this kind of thing, when I was new to this, I literally freaked out when I came around prophets because I knew they probably knew stuff about me because God probably, I didn't know how that stuff worked back then. Hang on just a second. All right. Something in the air here got in my throat. So I had to mute that for a second. All right, so when I came around prophets, and when I finally realized they still exist today, I was scared to death. I didn't, it made me so uncomfortable. I wanted to go see them, but I also wanted to keep my distance from them. I know they're going to call out some secret thing, some secret sin or something that I didn't even, whatever. I'm just saying, this is kind of the stuff that this is how we react in the beginning when you find out somebody knows something supernaturally about you. And so I have dreams about people I've already connected with or will connect with. And sometimes one of them was about something in the past, someone's past. And I haven't figured that one out yet. So I'm just going to wait. But eventually at the right time, I'll see if it's probably going to take a while. But I'm just saying, this is how it works with me. And okay. I was going to try to share this thing again, and I just got distracted, so maybe that means I should quit. Where am I? I'm looking down my notes. I'm getting to the end of my notes here, actually. But, okay, so what I'm trying to say is I do expect healing miracles and words of knowledge at some point to come out for people in the audience, or it might not be in the live audience, but if someone listens at a later time. And this is just, it's a biblical thing. It just means that God told you something as a thought about someone, or I may have had a dream ahead of time about someone, or it's just some kind of an awareness of what is going on with another person. And I've seen this thing happen. Now, here's a good example. I almost forgot about this one. I was in a church a few years ago in Virginia, and a different one than the one I went to the conference for. And there was a lady that got healed in the service, and it was something with her ear, and I knew it was real. I mean, that was also one of the first times I ever saw anything happen. And it was so shocking to me because suddenly, all of a sudden, something was wrong with her ear, and immediately it cleared up, and she screamed. She came running up to the front, and she came running to the front, and she told what happened, and I just knew. I knew the thing she said was real. I knew I could feel it. It was real. I didn't have any reason to doubt. I mean, I already come to believe these things were real by that time. But that was one of the first times I saw that. I'll tell you one of the craziest things I ever saw. And this was in person. This was not a video again. This was a boy. It was a big healing miracle service that I went to. And a boy in a wheelchair, teenage boy, 16 years or so, cerebral palsy. Okay, so cerebral palsy, how they kind of have their, kind of like twisted up a little bit, and they just can't function normally at all. And he was in this wheelchair his whole life. I think it was his parents that came with him, man and woman, older. I think one was a parent, one might have been, I don't know, but all I know is his mom was there, and there was a man also, whether it was his dad or maybe if his mom got remarried. I don't know the story, but I knew there was at least one of those where his mom was there. So they were there, and they verified the story. He, for the first time in his life, got up out of this wheelchair. he stood up in the middle of a healing miracle service. Now, it wasn't like everything was just perfect. He just jumped on his feet and went running. No, it wasn't like that. You could see there was a struggle involved. It wasn't just, it wasn't so easy. But that was the first time, and his mom verified he had never done that before. And so the next day, because this healing miracle service was several days long. The next day, he came in. He was walking, and he was pushing his mom in that wheelchair. This happened right in front of me. The 2 days. The first time when I saw him get up, he was about 6 to 8 feet in front of me, a couple rows in front of me. And when he walked in the next day, he literally walked 2 feet in front of me. And it wasn't like everything was perfect, but he had never done that before. He was standing, he was like leaning on the chair, but he was pushing his mom in the wheelchair. I had never seen anything like that. That was one of the biggest healing miracles I've ever seen, because that's someone with a serious physical disability. And he was at the beginning stages of getting healed right there. And I saw it in front of me right there. And so that was, again, that's another testimony. I got someone here wants to come on. Give me just a second. I will accept your chat. Just give me a second here. I want to make sure, was there any other big thing in my notes here that I wanted to get to before? Probably not. I think, yeah. Okay, I'll just accept and see who's on here. Okay, now I have to, let's see. This is doing a weird thing now. I got to click the button. Before you just tap and the person would come on. Now it's different now. So I had to figure that out last time. Okay,
Chris.
So hello. Good morning.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I enjoy listening to you.
Thank you. Where are you from?
Yeah. I am in the U.S., but I'm originally from Ghana.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
That was something I was going to mention. I have my timer in 15 minutes. If we go long, just come back on again.
Okay.
I was going to mention something I had in my notes, but I got so many notes here, I overlooked it. One thing I wanted to mention was healing miracles are typically, what I've learned, they're more common like in Africa or South America. And I've learned the reason is because people like me, the white culture, the Western mind, white culture, we are so trapped in our intellect that it blocks our faith and it kills everything. And so a lot of times we don't see as many here because we lack faith. In other countries, like where you come from, you don't have all these hindrances. And so it's just easier for you guys to have faith. And that's what I have learned so much just from observing, how it is in different countries, even though I haven't been to all of them yet.
Right.
But anyway, so I just want to really make a point, because a lot of people, Western people like myself, don't understand that in Africa, South America, there are a lot more healing miracles, because
That's true.
Yeah, and so I'm saying that in a very positive way, of course. But
I
I want to say, because what we Western people, we get stuck in our intellect and we don't know. And so here you are. Now I'm going to let you talk.
No, I get what you're saying, and I think that's very true. I think and this is my observation. I think one of the reason is because over here in the Western culture, they are more evidence based.
Right.
So they believe that I have to see to believe.
Right.
Okay, because we got so much resources available to us. We got explanation for everything. And that is how, the education system, the society expects you to produce what you see, not what you feel.
Yeah.
Over there, there's not so many advanced technology or anything. So sometimes they just have to believe.
Right. Yeah.
Without really seeing it. So that is why it looks like the faith, it's more there, because, to have faith, you have to get to that point where you know that there is a higher power.
Right.
You can't do it by yourself. There is a higher power that's going to help you. Just like a child goes to the dad and say, I want a toy. I don't care what you do, just get it for me. But, one of the questions I wanted to ask you is that, during your experience with the, healing and faith and miracle stuff, have you ever come into contact with somebody who you've tried to help or try to heal, and then it wasn't working?
Yes, Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
What I learned about that is, um, sometimes there's a root cause, and until you find that root cause, like what I was telling with my teeth grinding and food allergies, when I got to the root cause, the condition
Mhm.
was healed. But sometimes, if you don't know what that is, you can command a condition to be healed, and it's just going to sit there because you don't know, because you're doing the wrong thing. You're going at it the wrong
Right.
way. And I have a friend who's very, very good with prophetic things, and she asks God. Now she hears from God differently than I wish I did. I wish I heard more like she does, but she just gets, because she has a calling as a prophet,
Mhm.
and she's in the developing stages very early, but she'll get straight words, and she tells me stuff. I'm like, "Yep, she's right. I know that." And so she will find out. Like, say for instance, she's had a couple of years ago, someone died, and I told her what to do because I was getting her to learn more about this, and she went to the place where the body was, and she kept telling him to get up and all this kind of thing. She had dreams about it. Nothing happened. Now I don't know why that didn't happen. I don't know, but anyway, I had dreams about. It says in the
Mhm.
Bible that we will. I'm
Mhm.
trying to find. It says cast out demons and heal the sick, raise the dead. That's a command. Raise the dead. There's
Yes.
nothing spooky about that. It's a biblical command.
No.
Jesus did it. He's
Mhm.
doing it because he wanted to teach us to do the same thing. I had dreams about. It was simple. In the dream, it was a girl. She had just died, and I walk up to her, and I blew like like that. I blew, and I
Mhm.
said, "Come back to life." I said, "Get up now in Jesus' name." And immediately in the dream, immediately like that, wham, she was up.
Mhm.
Now I haven't had that happen in real life yet, but when you know how it is, when you have a dream, God has imparted something to you in the spirit realm,
Yes.
and you have to work to make it into the natural realm. And so
Yes.
part of my thing about saying this is part of my. I'm trying to put more focus on this, so that's why I'm on this thing today. So anyway, that's a little bit of a longer answer to I don't know.
I
Was that
love
what you were?
that. I,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. I love
Okay.
that. It
Okay.
reminds me of the story in the Bible when I think Jesus was in the crowd and was, I don't know exactly what he was doing. I can't remember. But then there was this lady that was hemorrhaging, that was
Yeah.
bleeding,
Right.
that told herself, if only I can touch the hem of his garments, I
Yeah.
will be healed. And
Yeah.
what you're doing here reminds me of that because you're putting that energy out there.
Yeah.
So if somebody hears this and say, if only I can hear this and believe it, then
Right.
that's when magic and healing happens.
And
So
that's how. Yeah.
it reminded me when I started listening to you. I'm like, this just sounds like that story.
Yeah, and that's how I got here because I had to hear other people talk about it, and it just it got me so interested. It was like it changed. Just hearing this stuff changed the whole direction of my life. And now
Mhm.
I've seen so many healing miracles I can't even count, or I can't even recall all of them. That's how many I've seen, and not for me because I haven't focused that much on it. From being in services where these things happened and teaching events. I mean, I've seen so many of these. So yeah,
Wow,
right.
you are onto some greatness. You really are. And then if you continue to focus and do what you're doing, I think
Yeah.
that you're really on track, going doing something great.
Thank you. I and this
Mhm.
is something I got to focus on a lot more. And you know how in the Bible it talks about boldness and how in
Yeah.
Acts the disciples originally they didn't have boldness and they prayed that God would give
Mhm.
them all boldness. And it
Mhm.
doesn't always come out in your tone of voice. It can, but sometimes it's a matter of just an act of you getting out there. And so I felt like this is so easy to get on social media and do this. It's
Mhm.
harder for me to get out in public in different places to do it,
Mhm.
mostly because I just haven't put myself out there enough. But this is me
Mhm.
stirring all that back up again, and
Mhm.
the Bible talks about stirring yourself up, and you got to do things. So yeah,
Exactly. The Bible, it's a very great book. I read the Bible and um, prayer and other rituals that we do
yeah,
and faith.
yeah,
You know, it's almost like, especially with prayer, it's like it's all mental. You
yeah,
pray, but you pray for yourself. Because for me, one of my beliefs is that everything that I can do, I can have, was given to me since my conception.
yeah,
Okay. So you praying and you doing other things to help. It's just to help focus your mind.
Yeah.
And if you continue on that focus, you can raise the dead.
Yeah.
You truly can.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's wonderful. I was enjoying listening to you, and I wanted to come up here and say
Yeah.
hello.
Thank you. I'm glad you did.
Mhm.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
Well, I
also,
will be listening.
okay, yeah. One of my other things is I at some point when people get more comfortable with me, familiar with me,
Mhm.
because I do dream interpreting on my website, Bible based, that kind of thing. So at some
Okay.
point, I'm expecting people to come on here and tell me a dream they don't understand, maybe something really big, and I'm going to do the best I can to tell them the meaning of it based on the same way I do. And I've been doing this 7 years through my website, 3,400
Mhm.
emails. And this is just something I do also. So I just want to put that out there again to everyone. And anytime someone comes on, they can come on anytime. I will do live dream interpreting anytime using biblical principles. So anyway,
Wow. I
yeah,
am a dreamer too. I love. I mean,
good.
I know that I love to dream. I actually sometimes will force myself to go to sleep so I can dream because it gives me such comfort.
Yeah.
It does. It gives me such comfort, and I think I dream every single day. Sometimes, okay. So, why is it that sometimes you dream and you don't remember?
Oh yeah. I found out there's more than one reason for that. Sometimes it's because you're not supposed to. It's like God is it's almost like he's programming something into your spirit. Okay, like when you have an app on your phone and it updates overnight,
Mm-hmm.
and the next day you use that app and it's updated, but you don't know what happened. Sometimes that's the reason, or sometimes there can be some kind of a spiritual hindrance going on, and what I usually try to do is just I try to make sure I don't have a polluted atmosphere, or I'm not polluting myself with something that is causing problems. But I'll just say it's at the simplest level. It could be that it's like when God told Daniel, "Seal this up, seal the words, because it's not for now; it's for later."
Mm-hmm.
That's part of it right there. So, but when I go through a period of time where I don't get enough dreams, I've learned there's some things to do to fix that. Uh, Sometimes there are things we have to do, and one of those is if you're familiar with the 3 to 6 a.m., like the fourth watch prayer time. That is so
Yeah.
big. When I learned that a year ago, I swear so
Mm-hmm.
many things started changing. It was shocking. I'm like, I could have been doing this all this time.
Yeah.
I just
Oh.
did it last night. I was up 3 to 6. And it that right there will kick a lot of things into motion that have been stagnant.
Mhm.
That's a
Wow.
big, so that's really a big solution. Yeah, the 3 to 6 a.m. thing is really big.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
try that.
I know there are times that when I sleep and I wake up, let's say maybe 3:33, and sometimes it's just like magic. It just works at
Yeah.
that same time.
Yep.
And then I get up and then I pray and then I go to sleep. I will have a bunch of dreams, but then just a specific, like maybe a scene of those dreams just gets stuck in my mind. And then I
Right.
narrate the dream. For instance, there was a dream I had not very long ago, actually about 2 days ago. And there was an owl. My
Oh.
neighbor came to my room and said, "Oh," I told my neighbor, "Oh, I've been seeing some owls around my house." And
Mm.
then she's like, "Oh, yeah, they're always here." And then there were other ones, but that is the only scene I remember.
Huh. um. Well, do you think it was positive or negative? I mean, what sense did you get from it?
So
Because they
I
can
thought it
have.
was positive
Okay.
because
Well, and
so I saw two owls in my. I have a lot of trees around me,
yeah.
and it was daytime. In the daytime, you don't really see owls, so I saw two
Yeah.
owls just flying back and forth.
Okay.
So then, before that, 2 days before that, a neighbor gave me a little cat,
Uh-huh.
and it gave me a cat because the wife is highly allergic to it. So I
Huh.
saw that cat, and I just love the cat. I named the cat Miracle.
Ah. Okay. Good.
So then this is like in a series of a week. these things have happened. And then I
Yeah.
had a dream about that, and she came and was like, "Yeah, there's owls all over the place." I'm like, "Okay," but then it wasn't a dream that made me anxious or anything like
Okay.
that. No, yeah.
Well, I was just wondering because most symbols have a positive and negative, and in a positive sense, an owl is a night creature, and they see in the dark. So this could be seeing. This could be something about the ability to see in the dark, which means see in the spirit, see in spiritual things, spiritual sight. But also, it can also relate more to dreams as a dreamer, in that sense. Also, they attack little pests and that kind of thing, so they're good at mice and that kind of stuff. So they're good at clearing out pests. That's a starting point right there.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, keep looking into that, see if anything else connects with it. Because sometimes you get a dream and you only get a partial understanding of it. I've had people, when I was learning, they only gave me a partial understanding. And as time went on, I began to realize what was going on. So sometimes that helps also. Yeah.
Right. Wow. Well, I have enjoyed talking with you, and
Same here.
I'm going to go down there and listen to you more.
All right. Well, thanks very much.
All
We'll talk to you
right.
again then.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Okay, goodbye. Okay, I got someone else, and check the little button 321. And all right, you are on. Hello.
All right, you are on. Hello. Hey, this is Rob Prinsky Zuko over here. Michael, how are you today?
Good. How are you doing? Where are you from?
Good. How are you doing? Where are you from? I'm from Zambia, Central Africa.
Ah, okay. I think I heard you the other day.
Okay. I think I heard you the other day.
I picked up that you were from Africa.
That you were from Africa. All right. Yeah. So I like the topic that you have today, and I just decided to just contribute a little bit.
Yeah.
About the dreams. Yeah. Actually, I usually have a lot of trance.
Okay.
They come more like a trance, like just something just cover you up like an umbrella.
Yeah.
And then, so in 2016, I had a trance where at the 11th hour, I actually had at this, I struggled to do anything I felt, and then tried to put my head down. And then I saw a cloud in the sky, a very dark cloud. And then Jesus himself appeared, and he was putting on a white skirt and a blessed plate with a very long sword. Now he was fighting a dark force. And this dark force was the devil. So there was a lot of lightnings, like gang, 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 gang. Now, every time the Lord fight the devil, and he could look where I was sleeping and say, I'm fighting my battles, my son. Again, he continues fighting. There was a lot of lightning in the sky, and it was crazy. So, like 5 times, he continued looking at me where I was sleeping. My window was open, and the heavens were clear. The sky were blue. Only one cloud which was there, and the devil was hiding. I could not see him, but there was lightning. But I only saw Jesus fighting the dark force, and he was looking where I was sleeping and saying, I am fighting my battle, your battles, my son. So amazing. I woke up, my wife was outside, and I woke up shouting, Michael, saying, Jesus is fighting my battles. Jesus is fighting my battles. So
that's good.
That's good. Yeah. By then, Michael, my things were really tough.
Yeah.
I just had a newborn baby. My firstborn son just got born, Prince Junior, and things were really rough, and I had no job, and it was crazy. But since then, and also I was also undergoing the separation with my wife and all that. So in the same process, until the likes of 2017, when completely we got separated, and then I was alone in the wilderness. I left my wife with everything. I went to stay alone because there were so many issues going around, and then I just decided, okay, let me just be on my own for myself. I had challenges, Michael, and I began to pray and believe in God. So one of the people all the way from Australia who came to record at the studio where I was working, the Zambians who lived in Australia, and then they decided to buy a CD from me. And then they we even forgot about everything. Few months passed, Michael, and then I received a phone call that I was wanted to go and help them in Australia to go and sing live at Astor Theatre. So it was like a breakthrough for me. It was like a miracle, and it was like a big testimony because I never even thought of going to Australia. I never dreamed of going there because I literally hated the land. But when I went there, I loved it even more. So I believe powerful dreams work. They literally work, and they are, when God is speaking something in your life, especially because during the daytime, Michael, we are very busy, especially you are in the States, right? And the population of the USA is maybe 400 million or whatever, but there are many activities that are happening. So during the daytime, it is just difficult. You just have to, like, because there's too much noise. So God will always speak to us when we are sleeping in the night because our minds are at ease. Is that right?
Yeah.
So now, very funny, Michael, before I go, just recently, I had a dream. And it wasn't a dream. Like I said, another trance came. I struggled around 4 a.m. This happened this March, around 19th of March, around 4 a.m. I struggled to sleep and I woke up. Something, like I said, flashed my eyes and I saw a village. Can you imagine, Michael? I remember even every details of this dream or trance. It was very dangerous and very wicked. I saw a village in a planetarium corridor called Otorius. I remember the names. In the year 2089 to 3000, exactly about 911 years from now, the king's men who wear these masks were hiding their faces from strangers, and it was a custom that the self-embossed king was very, very wicked, Michael, and ruthless. He tortured, he killed, slaughtered all the villains in the Otorius village of Valhalla. And and the king's name was Volenskorion. It was like a movie, but it wasn't even a movie. Where you are just taking in the chance, like things are happening, you are seeing these things and the names.
Right.
And the king himself, he started pronouncing a generational curse to those who did not obey him by having the mask or having it at the time of his reign, because this king of Valhalla in a planetarium corridor called Chilundami, he was an agent of Magog, I was told.
Wow.
There was gnashing of teeth, like people were imprisoned in cages, you understand?
Right.
And there was gnashing of teeth in the blazing furnace of brimstones in the camp of the slaves, and those chained and banished because of disobedience, like they refused to drink human blood and making human sacrifice to the deity gods and evil henchmen or snatchers. Imagine little children were given to evil gods and have their hearts eaten while blood is dripping. Lo and behold, it was the era of Aquarius. My heart was filled with fear and terror. The people and names I heard and saw, images of dangerous creature, a creature which was feeding on human flesh with 70 heads and 300 tails, whose name was Clonopin. The creature was the personal right-hand bodyguard of King Flenscorion, who married 10,000 wives and 300 virgins are waiting. And as I was taken deep in a trance, Michael, I saw names of those who died since the beginning of the age. Before I could ask the God what it meant, somebody just woke me up. I was in terror. I woke up screaming and shouting. I was trembling. My wife, now I have a brand new wife and with another baby. So now I woke up and because she could, like I was talking alone while I felt like I was sleeping, but I wasn't sleeping. Things are happening like it's a movie I'm watching, and then, but my mind was gone. So it just kept me. It was very deep. And up to now, I do not understand what was transpiring.
That's interesting because Peter had trances. And
That
so,
is right.
Yeah, and so when you understand someone that you're similar to, that gives you a clue about what your calling is. So you are something. Oh yeah, we had echo. So you have, if you go back and kind of focus on Peter, you see there are similarities between you and him.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
but
great.
it sounds
Great.
like. But what you saw was in the past or the future?
This is in the year 2089 to 3000. So about from this year, it would take about 911 years.
I get it. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Well, it's definitely something in the spiritual realm going on. Some kind of a big plot. Yeah, I've never heard one like that before, to be honest.
I'm telling you, up to now, I had to put this in written so that, I try to find maybe connections of people who make bigger movies, but I don't know, man. But this is just something else because it's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but I remember, Michael, way back when I was before I got in believing into supernatural, or just before I got born again. I never even knew about God and anything, but I just know God is always there. But we had a challenge. This is a time when, my childhood was really a hard time because my mama and my dad got separated when I was a little boy.
Yeah.
My father, because you know how it is in Africa, it's different from the Commonwealth countries. Yeah. There's too much, witchcraft here, the supernatural things, they work a lot. So my father, a bright man, was destroyed. I mean, they took his mind. He got mad. So now my father was in chains, and now my dad's family told mama that she was supposed to go to a place because he could hate her. Yeah. So that's how the separation technique was, and after my father was sponsored by his brother to study in Russia, and when he came back, he was the general manager of this bigger company in Zambia, and then people's jealousy, they just did some charms and all that, and my father just got wasted. He lost his mind, so it was crazy. So now, growing up with mother, and also after some time, mother died in 1998, and now I'm just with people and all that in the streets and all that. Life has been crazy. So now this time, when I even learned how to make charcoal now, for trying to educate myself to find money to go to school. And now we reached a point where I tried. We were in the middle of a very hard situation where the forest department were doing. I don't know what I can say, but the forest were prohibiting people from cutting down trees. So when they find you are having charcoal to go and sell, they will get everything. So now, Michael, what I did is I got my right leg, I put it behind. Like I push my right leg behind and the left one up front. And then I looked up. It was around around 6 p.m.
Yeah.
when the stars are now coming. Yeah. 6 to 9 p.m. when the stars are coming. So I looked up and I said, God, you are there. I know you are there and you could hear me even when I'm a sinner. I don't know you, but I know, God, you are there.
Yeah.
Please, I need a miracle right now because the situation is I'm telling you, Mike, a few minutes after I prayed the prayer, the forest department came to where our truck was stuck because we had hairlock. You know, the pipe which took the fuel to the tank just got out, and then the engine was locked by the pressure. So they came, the vehicle came, and they just looked at my truck, and then they decided, this truck is we'll find it. That's how I got saved there. God did a miracle, and for sure, when I reached town, I sold everything and I bought all the uniforms and started school. I was happy, and from there I started thinking God is still listening to truthful servants. He's always seeking for people who can obey him truthfully. So my time is running, but I'll still join one time with the other and be a blessing, brother. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you for coming on. You can come back if you want, or whatever you want to do. All right. I have got down to the end of my notes, and I'm just going to do a really quick recap because some people were not here on the beginning. And I kind of know how this thing works. If you don't hear the whole thing, you wonder, where are we going? What's he on today? Where did this come from? And I was just telling in the beginning how my testimony of how I learned that the miracles still are real today, biblically. And I didn't know at first, and how I went through the process. Different people I mentioned who also told their testimonies of how they didn't know any of this at first. I mentioned Alice Cresswell in the UK, a guy named Praying Medic here in the US. And if you check out their websites, the reason I came up with this little Miracle Cafe in my title today is because of Alice Cresswell. She actually has a place called the Miracle Cafe in the UK, I think in Bangor. I've never been there. But you can go on her website, miraclecafeithink.com. And I'm just giving these examples of people who I learned from in the beginning. And this was back in the last, well, not as far back as 11 years ago, but we could go back like 8 years, 9 years ago, at least, when I started learning about these things. And then I eventually began to see actual healing miracles for real in my life. Personally, I saw them. I experienced a couple of them myself. And I said in the beginning how there's a difference between a miracle, which is instant, and a healing, which is a progressive thing. And even in the Bible, not everyone got healed instantly. There weren't all miracles. Some of them, like the lepers, there was like I think the 10 lepers. And as they walked to a place where Jesus told them to go, they got healed as they walked. And then one of them came running back to tell Jesus what happened. So I mean, most of the time you see in the Bible, things seem like they happen pretty quickly or instantly, and it wasn't always, as we think now. But there are healings which are progressive and miracles which are instant, and I've definitely seen a lot of both of those. So that was how I started this off. If anyone's wondering where this comes from, just when I finish here, just go back to the beginning of it. You'll hear the whole story. I'm also going to put this up on my podcast channel as well. Because on my website, I have two of them. chrismichaels.com is my personal one, where I deal with a lot of spiritual things, and especially dreams, because I got here because of dreams 11 years ago. I started the process. If it wasn't for that, I don't know if I would be here. And then, so that's my one website, chrismichaels.com, is all personal. It's much bigger. It's the biggest one that I have out of the two websites. That is all the spiritual stuff that led me to the other one, which the other one is a beginning point for what will be a big, huge global energy technology based series of inventions. It's very big. I've been having these dreams about it for the last 8 years. There's actually more to it than that. If you go on my personal site, chrismichaels.com, there's a page called Mega Prophecy. I was actually told that I was going to be involved in something very big. And then I had the dreams after that. Only a couple before that time. But most of the dreams I've had, 50 to 60 dreams I've had regarding advanced energy technology that will change the entire world. I had those after the time that I got a prophecy telling me that, which basically became the answer to what I had been looking for many, many years about what am I doing? Why am I here? What is God's purpose for me? Things weren't working the way I wanted. And so God began to answer me in different ways, especially through dreams at night. And so that's one of the biggest themes. And I do a lot of dream interpreting on my website, Biblical Methods. You can see all that. I have categories broken out. If you go to the bottom of chrismichaels.com, you'll see all the categories of dreams, different common dreams or other ones like, are you seeing dreams about celestial objects or different people, co-workers, family, friends? They're all symbolic. If you're driving in a vehicle or you're riding in something, or it's a boat, airplane, I have all these categories and different dreams actually broken out. And I explain the symbols and how I get to the meaning of what those symbols are and what the whole thing means altogether. I have tons of those, like 140, almost 150 at this point right now. I have more that are lined up, ready to go, but I'm just waiting a little bit for some of them. I've been turning a lot of these into podcasts. That's my first website. My second one, bluecuborocket.com. That is going to be the site of when the energy tech stuff actually happens. And so right now there's just a lot of placeholders in there, and there are some pages there. I do have podcasts I started up now based on blogs that I resurrected, that I had posted, and I deleted them, and now I'm posting all back again. So there's something there. You can see a story. I speak in a very different way, kind of a roundabout method of speaking on that website. Just because I'm trying to reach a very different audience, kind of like I am here. And so I've tried in the beginning to, not just try to be more generic in my approach, but I'm kind of going beyond that now, I guess. So this concludes my testimony on the Wisdom App live discussion platform. This is also available as a podcast episode in 2 parts, which you can find on my website, chrismichaels.com, and check on the social media section for connections, as well as my podcast page where you'll see this and many other episodes listed. Thanks very much for listening, and God bless.